Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Mystery Red Reads. I am Mystery Red, and we are going to take a look today. First, my disclaimer. This beta read in Concrete is at the author's request. This video is for learning purposes. When we're doing a beta read in Concrete, this one's a little different. It is original fiction, but we are actually looking at Infinite Shades, Chapter 4. Again, we're doing a double take. I'm going to explain why here just a second. Let's see. So I read this chapter in my last episode. You've not clicked the wrong video. This is it's a double take of chapter 4. I've decided to look at it again from a different point of view. I like to do my reads without knowing anything so that you get a pure reaction as I'm experiencing it. But with this chapter, I did that and we got that experience. But now I'm wanting to go back and look at it again because I want to see if I can help my author. Let's see, how do I put this? I want to see where. Okay, so here's the thing. Amanda and Sam are in the same body. So apparently when Amanda used the crystal and that Sam was wearing, Amanda went inside of Sam. I thought she went inside the crystal, but she's actually her consciousness is inside Sam, which changes kind of everything here. I want to look at this and think about it, keeping in mind that Amanda is in Sam's head. Now, on my reader impression, I did not catch on to Amanda being inside Sam's head, I think, until pretty much the last couple paragraphs in the chapter. And I don't know if that's really what my author intended. And so I kind of want to look at this again and see, is there places that she could look, maybe, I don't know. I want to see if maybe I want to contemplate where she might have wanted the reader to realize, at what point she wanted the reader to realize that they were in the same brain. I'm thinking there were hints sprinkled along the way and I missed the connection. Probably because I had come to the conclusion that Amanda was probably inside the crystal. So now knowing that she's literally inside Sam's head, when I reread it later, I've already reread the chapter myself, trying to figure out where the connections might have been that I missed, the clues. And now I'm reading it again and kind of sorting through that a little deeper. I kind of just read through it lightly and started noticing some spots where I could have possibly have missed a clue. But my author probably, she said she might want to take a closer look at where she might sprinkle some more things where I guess she's trying to keep it subtle, but maybe not quite as subtle. And so I'm just going to take a second look at this and see what we come up with. So we're going to jump right into this chapter since you guys have already seen it. I totally understand if you want to skip this video, but this is a different perspective. So this is me having already read it and looking at it. I'm looking for something specific. So here we go. I'm not gonna, anything else that would have been from my beta read, I am not doing in this. I am purely looking at this with keeping in mind that Sam and Amanda are in the same headspace. And we're gonna purely look at it from that point of view. So chapter 4. Sam is in a private room with no visibility on the outside hallway. Garrett sits beside the bed. He has grown a full beard and no longer wears his suit and tie. Instead, he has exchanged it for a tattered t-shirt and a pair of faded jeans. Reading aloud from a thick book, he turns the last page, shrugging in disappointment before closing it. He piles it on top of the others on the floor. Nothing in the room is moving except for the steady rise and fall of Sam's chest, in unison with Garrett's, his face somber and filled with concentrated sadness and despair. The hands on the clock lack motion. The monitors do not beep, and the shadows on the walls remain static. Sam's upper body held into place with a halo. As Sam makes a noise, beginning to come into wakefulness, Garrett lets a smile cross his face. The monitors begin to beep slowly at first. The second hand on the clock ticks forward, building speed until it regains its rightful movement. Sam, Garrett whispers, his voice catching in his throat. Yeah. It's Uncle Garrett. Take it slow. You were hurt pretty bad and have been through a lot since... I know. She cuts him off as her eyes flutter open and a smile graces her lips. You're not my real uncle. Just, Garrett laughs. A wannabe. I'm aware. I wanted to be here when you woke up. Let you know everything was okay. Kay, she responds. Sam lets her eyes snap back and forth, scanning her surroundings, instantly noticing the shift of scenery. You had me moved. Private room, less going on, fewer eyes, something your insurance could cover with the major booster, so don't worry, you're safe. And had them drug me? Powerful stuff, too. Why? Her worried tone rises. It's just the anesthesia from hopefully the last surgery wearing off, Garrett explains, pushing up and moving in closer. Last? How many? She asks. I stopped counting after a dozen or so. Wow, I guess I checked out for a few. How long have I, been out? This last one? A few days. Kind of got lost in time myself, Garrett says with a smile. Doesn't seem like that long, Sam mumbles. Comas, from what I understand, will do that to you, Garrett jokes. Had me scared there for a while. Sorry, it wasn't intentional. Swallowing hard, she continues. Didn't work, did it? It shows in your expression. Do I look as bad as I feel? Be honest, she begs. I'd prefer not to, Garrett declines. That's why you have to. I'd rather know. Your comments when you called me. True, you're a mess. Break Evel Knievel's records for the most number of broken bones. By my count, I've got to be close. Sam, Garrett questions as if scolding a child who isn't telling the truth. I want to know. Separate bones, multiple fractures, so yes and no. And if it were a record-breaking achievement, no one is going to share, no matter how hard you press. I'll destroy the x-rays and any evidence. Just curious, achievements and all. Take a breath, would ya? Sam says, a smile forming on her lips. Nice, disguise. She looks him up and down. Could do without the smell, though. Her nose wrinkles. Sorry, it's been a few days since I've had an opportunity to take a shower. And the reason would be? Her eyes roll around as if floating. Oh. She curses. She slowly lets out under her breath as if something else is going on with her outside of her physical body. Okay. So far, up to this point, it has been very much Sam. I've not picked up any clues whatsoever above this point. I believe this is the first subtle clue where we're supposed to start getting a hint, because, I mean, she's made it pretty clear. So I knew when I read it that something was going on, but I was waiting still for more information as to what that was. So I think I just read through that in the first read. Let's see. She subtly lets out under her breath as if something else is going on with her outside of her physical body. So I think this is our first hint. And from a reader point of view, that just tells me that it's a little clue that something is happening. We have no idea what. It gives no indication. Her eyes kind of rolling around as if she was floating. I'm kind of thinking she's maybe processing a little bit. Maybe this is the first time Sam realizes there's a second voice inside of her head. I believe that we're in Garrett's point of view here, so we won't get Sam's internalizations, which would have made all of this super, super clear. I know that sometimes my author doesn't have so much internalization. I'm guessing that it's largely because she's not trying not to give things away, and I've encouraged her to add some of that back in here. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm also wondering as I read through this, at what point Garrett makes the realization that there's two of them. So I'm keeping an eye out for that as well. I believe that's our first clue. We're going to keep going. It's difficult getting in and out of here without eyes on me, so I do it as little as possible. That bad, huh? Why do you assume? Because you're here, have been since it happened, not normal Garrett behavior, uncle or not. Really not normal to be here so long and take such a risk. Where's Julian? Running an errand, he says, reaching up and squeezing her hand. I didn't know the two of you actually knew each other. He pulls back slowly, hoping she didn't see it. Can't feel it, but it's the thought behind it that counts, right? She covers with humor. Yes, you were pretty hard on on Marcus. Garrett redirects the conversation. Not an agent anymore? Sam asks. A lot has happened. Nothing you should concern yourself over. If you feel the need, let it be through him. For now, can you work with an old flame that cares a great deal about you? Yeah, I guess, Sam relinquishes. Not so far from the truth, though in my defense I wasn't in the mood to be played with. She takes a breath and lets it out slowly, as if nauseous. Probably a good thing I can't feel my stomach. I think it would want to vomit right now. But then again, I really can't. This sucks. Swallowing hard, she briefly closes her eyes to force focus. You promised you'd stay out of my personal life. I'm going to promise. I'm going to pause. I'm going to promise. That's funny. Okay, I'm going to pause for just a second. As I'm reading this, I'm kind of wondering, okay, now that I know Amanda was in her head, I can see how waking up from a coma and finding out there's a second person, second consciousness up there with you, and you're sharing space now, I think that would make me nauseous too. But if it was intended to be another clue, I think the reason it's getting lost is because when I contemplated her being nauseous when I first read this, I wasn't thinking in my head that she was probably, like, I did say to myself, why is she nauseous? Obviously, and then I immediately rationalized it to all that she's been through. She's waking up from anesthesia. She's been paralyzed. She's sickly. Wow. Okay. I cannot rewind. Let's just see. Hope that little blurb of my ringtone does not get me flagged. We will soon find out. Okay. So what I was saying was Sam, if that's supposed to be another clue, why I'm missing that clue or that hint is because I'm rationalizing that her body's been through chaos. And so I think I would definitely be nauseous if I had been through all that. But at the same time, I can kind of contemplate the possibility that it sucks to have a second person in your head and now you're trying to because she's internally sorting through this. And I'm still wondering a little bit if I'm assuming this is the chapter where Sam herself realizes there's somebody else at home. Because we haven't been with her in a minute. So that's something that I'm not sure of. That's just what I'm assuming, but my author will know what to do with that information. We're going to keep going. All right, so he promised to stay out of her life. He says he did. Got that. But in my way, quite the coincidence, though, wasn't it? Don't think I've ever had one of those happen with you around before. She blinks rapidly, then as if coming back from a daze. Nope. Okay. So this one, I think, confused me when I first read this sentence. And I think the reason it confused me is because it didn't make sense. But now I'm thinking Sam is having a conversation with Amanda and said half of it out loud. But from a reader perspective, not knowing that Amanda was in there with her, it just didn't make sense to me when I read it. I completely thought, and I'm not even sure I'm right now. I'm assuming that that's what's happening right here, and that's why it did not make sense. So what would we do? What if I'm right, and this is Sam having a conversation with Amanda right here in front of Garrett, because Garrett's next line is what's going on in there, which kind of confirms what I'm thinking. And it also lets our reader know something's wrong. But what other little tidbit, or let's see. Got that. But in my way, quite the coincidence though, wasn't it? I don't even know what Amanda is saying to her. So because it's out of context, it just doesn't make sense. So from a reader point of view, I'm just confused. It would probably be even okay for the reader to add something that leaves the reader thinking that Sam is disoriented. I don't know. It depends on how clear, it depends on how soon my author wants the reader to know that Amanda is in there with her. How soon does she want that realization to be? Because that's going to determine just how clear and how much you give away. It depends on what the moment is where you wanted the realization to hit. For me, it hit really late, but I can see there's a potential of a clue here. But then again, I also was reading as a beta reader, looking for things to improve overall or to suggest overall that were helpful and to give impressions. And I did give the impression of confusion here, I'm pretty sure. But because I was looking at it from it, looking for different things, I can miss clues because my brain is preoccupied with its job. So it's not like I'm getting a reader experience, but it's a little bit more than that too. So with all that considering, I'm not really sure. If I can find the markers and point them out, at least maybe that'll be helpful. Let's see. If this has got that, but in my way, quite the coincidence though, wasn't it? Don't think I've ever had one of those happen with you around before. I'm assuming, okay, well, she hasn't, this might not be to Amanda. This might be to Garrett. Okay, so see, I'm not even sure who she's speaking to. I assumed when I first read it that it was Garrett. And now this first part, knowing that Amanda's sharing her brain, I think it's this part is to Amanda. But then I'm not sure what this means at all. Okay. I'm not really sure what to suggest for blinks rapidly, then as if coming back from a daze. Okay. So when she blinks and she's coming back from a daze, I'm thinking she's coming back to Garrett when he's, what's going on in there? So there's an internal conversation. Oh, you know what? Right here, not including the note part, my highlighter is not, it's been finicky lately. Yep, it's doing it again. Okay. And again. From here to here, not including the note part, you could have something, of course, we're not in her point of view, though. I was going to make a suggestion, but then she could do a facial expression that looks like she's, I guess she is coming back from a daze. How can we describe her? Mumbling to herself something. Okay, I'm realizing that the reason I think this is to Garrett is because she hasn't known Amanda that long. So even if Amanda was in her head, I don't feel like she'd say she's not had something happen with her around before, because she's really never been around her beside the time that she met her in the airplane that we know of. Yeah, so I'm thinking she's talking to Garrett, but at the first part I kind of thought she was talking to Amanda, now knowing that Amanda's in there. Okay. What can we do? Okay, if we had Garrett's internalization, Garrett could actually help here because he could be looking at her and seeing that she might seem disoriented or confused. And then internally, he can rationalize it to himself that it's probably because of the surgeries and the anesthesia. But then something about what she's saying being gibberish, seeming like gibberish, because if it doesn't make sense to him either when he asks her what's going on, he could internalize that, she's speaking gibberish. And then he's going to ask her for the clarification. But if we have an internalization from Garrett that he's taking note of her seeming out of it or off, which he's rationalizing as part of the surgeries and all that she's been through, which is exactly what I would be doing as a reader. But if we have that internalization from him somewhere in even here or here, then it's going to help get you that clarity that you want. So Garrett's going to give it to you from his observation of her. If the reader is hinted, that'll be a subtle clue. If the reader is alerted to Garrett noting something being not quite right, He could even be looking at her pupils to see if, are they both, are they, are they dilated? Are they pinpricks? Is one bigger than the other, indicating brain injury? He could be observing her and trying to kind of being suddenly kind of not suddenly even as he's in the room with her and this conversation is progressing, he's catching on that something's not quite right, and that will alert the reader to be looking out for something more than just Sam waking up. Because I was kind of in the headspace that she's waking up, and I think I'm rationalizing all these clues away as I went through, as her being disoriented from the surgeries and all that she'd been through. So yes, Garrett is going to help you here. Given his internalization, his observation of her is going to make it clear and keep our reader looking for what the heck is going on here. Something's not quite right. And this really helped. This sentence here is probably one of the two spots that would be great for that, because this is where I am alerted that there is something going on. And then Sam says too much. Here we go. I may be making an assumption here. And that's interesting. I'm wondering, what is it that he's assuming? But you don't assume anything, Sam interjects. You want to know why I called you. Why? She falls into silence. Her eyes close, and she takes a few shallow breaths. She whispers, you already know. Okay, so I'm wondering, now I remember talking about, we have not come to one yet, but I remember talking about contractions and using contractions and based on the way we speak, especially if you're trying to differentiate one character from another. In this, I'm kind of wondering at what part is Sam talking and what part is Amanda speaking through Sam. And I'm kind of wondering if some of that is going on here. It's almost like there's two conversations and three people part of it, but only two bodies in the room. And so we've got to figure out how to work that out so that it's clear to the reader. But you don't assume anything, Sam interjects. Okay, and I'm wondering what he was going to assume, which he could possibly internalize in here. You want to know why I called you. And so when she said this, I was trying to recall the conversation when she had the doctor call him on the phone and put him on speaker. And so I was trying to recall that in case we were going to reference that information when I read this line. Why? She falls into silence, her eyes close, and she takes in a few shallow breaths. I kind of thought she was just still being nauseous. She's taking some breaths, like you're nauseous, you're kind of like, ugh, yuck, I don't even feel like talking. And so I think that I thought that at this. I'm trying to figure out where I rationalized it away. And at the same time now when I read it, I'm like, okay, anytime she falls quiet, I'm feeling like she's having an internal conversation with Amanda. And it's okay that if that is, but I think if it's meant to be a clue, we're missing it, because Sam is so badly injured that we can rationalize all of these subtle clues away with her actions, which also fit with somebody who's suffering. So I guess we have to lean more to Garrett to give us his thoughts to keep the reader thinking in the right direction. Like, I wonder at what point he realizes. Okay, so she tells him he doesn't assume anything, and then it seems like she's having a conversation, because here's, I made an assumption, and then she's like, you already know, but I'm like, already know what? I'm confused again, so I'm kind of thinking this might be Amanda might be in here. And that'll be another thing I'll be looking for, is when we're sure that it's Amanda, we need our reader to know that it's Amanda. So we have to make that super clear. This is a challenge. Okay, I think I do, but I hoped that it was for something else. What is it that he thinks he knows? Oh, he knows why she called him. Okay. Sorry if I'm a little slow on that take, because I'm looking so hard and thinking so hard about this other, and trying to look for where is Amanda speaking. You are the closest thing to family I have outside of Dad, but she chokes down the emotion building inside her. I need to know if you set this up. This is all Sam very clearly, and I'm not thinking about anybody in there with her right now because that fits. By this you are asking Dad and me being the ones finding the plane, her and me. No, Sam, I wouldn't, he trails off. Not some secret mission to capture a trust operative? No. Did Dad know? I don't, Sam. I'm sorry, but we haven't found him, and after so much time, we're not giving up. Sam's eyes close, then reopen again. There's a shift in her gaze, more controlled and purposeful, her tone losing any emotional vibrato. So this is Amanda, 100%. And now that I know she's in there, it's very clear. So it seems like this is the shift. I think if Garrett internalizes that Sam doesn't look like herself, and when you're thinking about someone who's completely immobile and they suddenly don't look like themselves, their eyes might look hard and vacant, where Sam's might be soft and bright, or glossy. Because she's emotional, her eyes might be glossy. So you can use physical descriptors of Sam's expressions, and you can get detailed, but do it with some finesse so that it's not like you're telling it, you're showing it. She's speaking to Garrett and she's got all these emotions and feelings, and we can write those in the descriptions of her face. And then when this moment happens and you give this description, I think that if with the shift in her gaze, more controlled and purposeful, you could even describe how her eyes change in appearance, because you're using her facial expressions, so I'm assuming that the muscles in her face are still working because she's still able to speak. So we're still able to draw from those movements, the lines around our eyes, around our forehead, around our mouth, the shapes we make with our lips. You purse your lips when you're upset, or some people. When Amanda speaks, there may be. I wonder if Amanda's very. Oh, she had a British accent. I think in the first chapter she had a British accent. If Sam suddenly starts speaking with a British accent, it would be very clear that it was Amanda. So that might be something you could use. And that would be very easy to make it very clear which one of the two characters is speaking. Yes. Okay, so we're looking for someone super formal, but you may go back and look for opportunities to use some British terminology to further kind of emphasize or punctuate that, or you might even look up for a place as soon as you wanted your reader to 100% know that it was Amanda. If Garrett observes a British accent when she speaks, then that's going to tip your reader off, and I think that might do the job. Let's keep going and let's hold on to that. All right, so I think right now when she opens her eyes, this is Amanda speaking. So let's look at it from that perspective. Sam's eyes close, then reopen again. There's a shift in her gaze, more controlled and purposeful, her tone losing any emotional vibrato. You won't. He was dead before the avalanche. He's now beyond with the others. I've accepted, so should you, and move on. Let's see. There's nothing wrong with this. I'm just contemplating it from Amanda's perspective. I have to get into the British mindset, which is not a terrible stretch for me. Hang on just a second. I think that this could be stated the same way, whether be it American or British. So you could look for opportunities to use British terminology that would make it even clearer. But still, when she says this, if Sam had a British accent and Garrett noted it, here you go. Garrett asks, seeing and hearing the change. You could get more detailed on this by just some really slight shifts with what you've already got, and say that Garrett asks, noting the change in Sam. She even had since when did she have a British accent? He could think that in his head. Something to that note. You know Garrett better than I do. I'm still getting to know him, but I'm talking to my author right now. So, using what you know of Garrett, you could internalize something using this same space and him pick up on a British accent, and that is going to really tip your reader off. I might have even known if I had read that and he had internalized a British accent, I would have immediately made the point, the realization that it was Amanda. I'm 98% sure. That would have been my clarity moment, because I kind of got some clips that something was going on, but I kept dismissing and rationalizing it away as part of Sam's ailing. And I think in this point, I would get it right there really quickly. Let's just keep going for other points to get through the whole thing. The gunshots you mentioned, the others, what can you tell me about them? Garrett asks, seeing and hearing the change. Also, what does Garrett think of this? That I wonder. I cannot speak of them. I did not see nor come into contact with them. There were two with him. I found her, and she confirmed the pilots were dead. Okay. I wonder this as well. Okay, so Garrett, I'm also looking for, when does Garrett notice? I'm wondering if he notices, I know that he noticed the change. What I don't know is at what point he realizes it's Amanda. So we're keeping an eye out for that. And at the same time, I'm now wondering, when there's a sentence, is it all of one or all of the other? Like, is it all Sam or all Amanda? And who is speaking right here? Is it Sam or Amanda? I kind of think Sam, because it says here, there were two with him. I found her, and Sam found Amanda, and she confirmed the pilots were dead. So that makes me think this part is Sam. I'm wondering how quickly she flips back and forth between Sam and Amanda, and if they flip mid sentence, like mid speaking. So I'm wondering all of that. Okay, Garrett nods. You identified the contagion early, knew exactly what it was and how it would present. Can you tell me how you knew that? The one I found, she told me that it was important to remember. I have an eidetic memory. So when I first read this, I was kind of surprised that she had said to Garrett that she had an eidetic memory. And I feel like she had already told Amanda that, but Garrett having known her forever, I almost felt like I was surprised that he wouldn't know that. The one I found, she told me that it was important to remember. So I feel like this is Sam speaking about Amanda. Did you tell her about your memory? Garrett leads. Yes. What else did she tell you? Garrett asks. That is why you are here, to find out what I know, what she told me, not because you care, Sam retorts. Now, I could have said that much more emotionally, but I'm reading it this exactly the way it's written, and I'm also contemplating which character it is that's talking. At this point, I kind of feel like it's still Sam. I feel like it is. So I'm going to tell you which character I think it is. I'm speaking to my author again, and you will know whether or not you'll get what you need out of me telling you which character I think it is. You're going to know if you need more of something, if I'm wrong, and if it was meant to be the other character, you're going to know if you need more of something. Let's see. Sam, that is not true, and you know it, Garrett returns, his tone firm. You also know I work with the FBI. There are going to be questions, especially with the outbreak surrounding this hospital. All of it starting when you came in on that chopper. We both know how they will approach this, as they are, an act of bioterrorism that was thwarted. Thus far, you have been shielded from those questions because of your condition. I don't need your protection, Sam states. Maybe not you, Sam. By the way, I still think that's Sam, because that's kind of very much something she'd say. Maybe not you, Sam, but what about when you start speaking about her, the woman you came in with? You know those questions are going to come, not just from the FBI or other agencies, but from ICID and the Trust, to name the ones I am most concerned about. How are you going to explain your injuries when there is no evidence of a plane crash? It is all to the contrary. The others present on the plane? Sam's eyes close. He waits, giving her time. He listens to her breathing, picking up its staccato intakes, then shifting into slow inhales and hard huffs on the exhale, as if punctuating a heated argument. A mix, then a steady in and out. So this is Sam speaking to Amanda. I kind of, I feel like my first impression was more, like I said, I kept rationalizing this as part of her physical ordeal and kind of missed the hints that way. Now it seems like she's definitely having a conversation with Amanda but I'm in the know now, so we need it to work for the reader as well. Sam's eyes close. He waits, giving her time. He listens to her breathing, picking up its staccato intakes, then shifting into slow inhales and hard huffs on the exhale, as if punctuating a heated argument. A mix, then steady in and out. I think that we've got his observation, we've got what Garrett sees, but I think we need what he feels about it. What does he think about it? We're seeing what he sees, and he's done a good job of that. And if we pair that with his thoughts, it's going to continue to be very clear. If we hit the mark up here to that last part where I said that the reader would know, especially if we used her British accent, from the moment that our reader is in the know, all of this is going to read differently. So we have to just pinpoint the part where you wanted the reader to know and make sure it's very clear in that spot. So let's keep going. Garrett smiles as she opens her eyes and continues. I do believe she was the one I was set to meet with, which is why I was coming here in the first place. I did not tell you or your dad I would be here. Why would I? Those parts of my life no longer intersect by design. And our mutual promises. But you were aware I was heading this way, and the meeting was to take place at the symposium with her, and you announced it over an open line. My turn to ask, he snaps. I need to know why you knew that. I need to know how you knew that. Okay. She lets out a deep breath on a controlled exhale as her eyes level out and meet Garrett's, the softness of her gaze returning. Good job there. So if I had known we were flip-flopping between two characters in one brain, like I said, this entire thing is reading differently. I think I pinned down the moment back there, and what we needed to do about it is probably because it looks like at this point it just reads differently once you're in the know. So the nailing down the exact moment and making it super clear, and then maybe doing one more thing to make it Garrett's internalization can make it very clear. You can even internalize the moment he realizes, be like, wait a minute, she's actually in there. Or maybe he thinks she's in there, and when he asks Sam questions, that confirms his answer. So by him internalizing it, it becomes very clear to the reader, and then all of this is going to read differently. Okay, we're going to keep going. I would know how to explain it if I even could. Did she even make it? Okay, that's so interesting. She says, so she lets out a deep breath on an exhale as her eyes level out and meet Garrett's, the softness of her gaze returning. So it's Sam again. I wouldn't know how to explain it if I even could. Did she even make it? So I guess Sam, knowing that Amanda is in there with her, is really asking about Amanda's body. I'm wondering on Sam's end if she wonders if Amanda's body can survive without her brain, or maybe she just wants, or maybe she already knows that because Amanda's in there with her and is immediately just answering her as she thinks thoughts because they're sharing a brain now. And I guess maybe it becomes more about where the location of the body is. So all of this reads differently once you're in the know. Okay, here we go. Does her survival affect your answer? There's a long pause as Sam thinks before carefully speaking. Yeah, it does. Your answer, if she's alive? It's one or the other, so tell me the truth or lie to me. I'll know either way. But the real answer is in my choice. Sam, you know I'm one of the few who can lie to me and get away with it. Aware, but you won't. It's too risky on your part to lose my trust in a moment like this, and what knowledge of the incident I have. He relinquishes. I wouldn't call it survival. Her heart beats, and about a week ago, she began breathing on her own. But no one's home upstairs. No. You have someone keeping her alive, studying her, Sam states. Yes. How many people know outside of the two of us? Sam asks. Just one in a special place only I have knowledge of its location and means to access it. She holds in before speaking again. Testing that hypothesis about genetic memory in ones like us. Statement, not a question. Yes, interesting time to admit your inclusion. Care to offer some personal expertise on that particular subject? I'm going to stop for a second. All of this, I'm assuming, is Sam and Garrett. I'm not picking up on Amanda anywhere in there. Except for when she pauses, I feel like she's referring or conferring with Amanda. Okay, not at this time, she smiles, but I will eventually. And what do you want in return for a guarantee on that? The list is long. We'll get to it. So I got to know a lot about her in our short time together. Amazing what you learn about someone as they're expiring. When I say a lot, I really mean a lot. Far too much information even for me, who absorbs it like a bottomless sponge. This is funny now. It's all scrambled, but I'll get it sorted out. I recognized her, yet couldn't place her. That's what's weird, because that's usually instantaneous with me. Probably the beginning of my brain swelling. All that, Sam. Take it easy, Sam says. Garrett says in an attempt to avoid the shift he'd witnessed earlier. Interesting. See, yeah, okay. So if we have Garrett's internal thoughts to go with his observations, you're going to get everything that you're looking for. Because right here, I'm wondering if I'm wondering what he's thinking. He's attempting to avoid something about that did not sit right with him. And maybe, who knows what he was thinking? Was he thinking, maybe he doesn't know Amanda's in there with her yet at this point, and he's thinking that, she was acting strangely when he upset her. I don't know. We just need to know what his thoughts are right there. Yeah, it's pain. It feels good in that I haven't felt anything for weeks now, okay? Do you have any idea what it's like to be able to hear and sense everything going on around you but not be able to interact? Be able to say, yeah, you suck at putting that needle where it goes. Oops, missed again, setting a bone. They don't think I can feel it. Yeah, I can. Just because my body doesn't react doesn't mean the nerves weren't talking to each other and the gray matter wasn't storing it all. Really? So if you want your answers, deal with it, she snaps back. He nods, and she doesn't wait for him to answer. She made the connection about who I was before I was able to put it together. I know, unusual. From there, it all just fell into place. I got that she was trust, not like admitting it or anything, but closer to their inner circle than we knew or thought possible. And who's the only person I know who deals with trust? That'd be my uncle, who's not really my uncle and who bore a striking resemblance to the man she was describing as not only the one who hunted her endlessly, but was the one who she nearly begged me to find and relay some cryptic information to. She takes a breath and continues on unabated. By the way, all of that is very clearly Sam. She takes a breath and continues unabated. Oh, and in my jacket pocket, there was a bunch of broken pieces of this device. Threw it away like garbage, I'm guessing. Anyway, that is how I knew about the symposium. Your being in town and why. What I'm going to tell you next comes to you via my interpretation, because she was bound by some impossible barriers, and impossible isn't exactly a reference I use nor believe in. I understand, Sam. Garrett slides in. I don't think you do. I was supposed to find you and stop you from making an appearance. Okay, I'm pausing. What? Okay, so that sounds like Amanda. I thought it was Sam when I first read it, but now I'm wondering if that's Amanda. So I feel like if it is Amanda, when Amanda's speaking, if you have a British accent and Garrett notes it, or you use British verbiage, like if you look up some words and use in the way that they organize and everything's very formal. Not to say they don't use conjunctions, but if you're trying to differentiate which character is speaking, it would be helpful there, unless this is Sam. So I'm not even sure which character is saying this, and I'll tell you why. It's because I remember reading it and being confused when I read it, because I was like, wait, as far as I knew, Sam was on a search and rescue. I didn't know anything about her trying to stop anything or or find Garrett, and she knew how to get in touch with Garrett, so she didn't have to find him, which is why I think this is Amanda. We need something, maybe Garrett's internalization or his observation is going to make very clear. So now I'm wondering if this isn't the moment when Garrett realizes that that's Amanda. Here we go. Already concluded I was a target, and all eyes would be looking for my contact. Even I wasn't sure who that would be, but I had my assumptions. I took precautions, Sam. You didn't succeed in that I didn't go. I chose to stay here with you, he explained, smiling. Okay, so Garrett doesn't seem surprised that Sam would be coming to find and stop him from appearing at the symposium. But that was not in Sam's agenda in the beginning when she was going to, she was on a search and rescue. She had no internalization about having another job or action, unless I need to go back and reread chapter 1 and maybe I missed something because I got sucked into the search and rescue part. But I feel like she was just waking up in the morning and everything. And as far as we knew, that the search and rescue was the only thing she was thinking about. I feel like now I need to go back and reread chapter 1. If this is the moment when Garrett understands that that is Amanda, we need internalization from him. And maybe I feel like when he calls her Sam, I feel like he would almost say the name kind of ironically. Because he, especially if he's in the know on speaking to Amanda. Like if he's now realizing and piecing it together, we could get that internally from him. This is going to help you a great deal. If I'm wrong, well, then I'm wrong. But that's what I'm thinking is happening here, and I'm not really 100% sure, but that's what I'm rationalizing. We're going to go with that. She continues as if he hadn't said anything. It's not like you two sit down and have a chat. It's more a mutual understanding that something more important has happened, and simply catching a glimpse of each other in a crowded room is enough to bring about an investigation from your inquisitive cohorts. Why was she there? Where did she come from? Who is she? And why was she pretending to be this or that person? Why was this and that important enough? So on and so forth. Round and round you go. Where it stops, nobody knows. She rambles, taking in a breath in preparation to continue. All right, rambling is 100% Sam. So I think Sam is speaking there. I know how it works, Sam. I've been doing it for years. What did she want you to tell me specifically? He asks, trying to keep her on target. That your game has been figured out and to stop playing it. Stop following and tracking her. Stop thinking she was giving you information. Simply stop. She wasn't your source. Well, not this time anyway. But the visible pawn used in a vicious power play going on within the trust. So know how that feels. She states, referring to herself. Two competing forces, both of which are using you and ICID as a means to take the other down a notch. A typical the enemy of my enemy is my friend scenario, neither of which had your interest or hers at heart. She could not justify using you to help one or both of them anymore. That's why she crashed it, so they couldn't have it and you couldn't. Only us, me, us. If only I knew what it meant. Okay, so I'm wondering, that's why she crashed it, so they couldn't have it and you couldn't. Only us, me, us. I kind of think this part, when I read this part, I kind of got that she was speaking on both her and Amanda's behalf. If you meant that, then you did hit that. And when I first read it, I kind of contemplated who this was, although I did not know it was Amanda at the time. I thought maybe it was her and Garrett, and I was still trying to rationalize it. Okay. I already came to that conclusion. Well, sorry for being the late messenger. This and many other good reasons are why I kept my distance from you and all of this. But every second you're here, the board is wondering why. We both know you haven't told them about me, so shush. The more they wonder, the more they look. The more they look, the more the attention they draw from other elements. Importance gets placed on what we're plotting, even though we're not doing anything other than discussing how badly I'm broken. They don't care. Operations are planned, caution and common sense are thrown out the window. Lives are threatened and innocents are put in danger. I'm in no condition to move or defend myself on my own accord, which makes you want to be here to protect me because Dad is gone, which puts me in further danger, not to mention what happens when the trust gets curious. Need I continue? No, you can stop there, he laughs. Welcome back, Sam. Okay. So when I first read this, I kind of felt like she was warming up in the beginning and coming around, and now she's back to her head is clear. And now I'm reading it, and I know that it's Sam, but and him welcoming her back doesn't not make sense. But I'm also wondering if he's thinking he knows for sure which one he's talking to, or if I'm still wondering if he's sure that there are two of them in there. I'm still unclear as to whether or not he has realized it. Um, let's keep going and see. Glad to be here, she returns. So here's the deal. I've always wanted out. Never wanted to be involved in the first place. That's what she wanted once, but unlike me, she didn't have an out. That is what she was going to tell you in a nutshell. She wasn't a viable source. They were watching her and leading you like a horse with a carrot. So now it's almost like if he's supposed to be in the know already, like if he has already figured it out, I don't know, internalization would make it clear at what point he realizes. And then I would honestly be able to, I'd be more grounded and confident. I'd be more confident in what I'm rationalizing. Um, this feels like information she's gathered from her internal conversation with Amanda. And it just seems like she's speaking on her behalf, advocating for her. But it is Sam. But it does kind of give me that, there's information Amanda has given her. And I know I've gone on and on about her name. I know that's a thing. I think referring to her as Jane Doe. Also, if you give her that name back in the hospital, like when she's admitted or something, because they don't know who she is, that moniker can kind of follow her and always make it very clear to your reader who it is you're talking about. Just to throw that out there. Glad to be here. So here's the deal. Okay, so we know this is Sam, or I'm thinking this part is Sam. Like I said before, I'm not really sure if there's a switch in person speaking mid paragraph. That if so, that would probably be too much for the reader without some like little moments that give distinction. That's what she wanted once, but unlike me, she didn't have an out. So it sounds like it just gives me the impression Amanda was trapped in her life trying to survive. We're going to keep going. Sam, we both know there is no out with the trust other than death. Yeah, she knew that. In fact, she was rather upbeat about our situation, other than I was completely useless to her. So knowing that you've kept her alive throws a monkey wrench and puts me in a quandary. Interesting. So I'm kind of wondering if some of this could be Sam talking about herself in the third person because or could be Amanda talking about herself in the third person because she's speaking through Sam. So if I'm wrong about which character I think it is, we got to do something to make it clearer, but I'm not sure. So, okay, death, yeah, she knew that. So is this, I feel like it's Sam because if I rationalize it, it makes sense to be Sam doing the speaking. When Amanda is the one speaking, does she pretend to be Sam? Because that needs to be an observation. Does she even try to pretend to be Sam? Because that if she is consciously pretending to be Sam, then she would not have spoken with a British accent from the minute she revealed herself. Unless she herself is disoriented as well. I don't know. There's so much I don't know, but you have the opportunity to drip it through there throughout Garrett's internalizations, I think, are what's going to really make this clear for you. I don't see it that way, Sam. Oh, I do, but see, we don't have to agree to have mutual goals. Her physical brain may be toast, but her body alone can tell this story, and it's a story that should never get back to the trust because it now includes information about me and you, and yeah, it's just bad. Thus, keeping her body alive for study puts us all at major risk. She betrayed them in such a way they won't give her death. It'd be never-ending torture, not just for her, but anyone she's ever cared about or even associated with, and that now includes me and my associates. So, first, who are Sam's associates? But I kind of wonder if this is actually Amanda speaking. I kind of think this one is Amanda, and she's like, get rid of my body. That's my impression of that. I feel like that's Amanda speaking and saying, get rid of my body. Because she told you all of this, Garrett nods. Is this the moment when he realizes? Because if Garrett internalizes that something does not sound like Sam speaking, and if he observes facial movements that, like, if you look at one person speaking and then you look at another person speaking, they hold their mouth differently, they look in different places, certain words they'll blink at. There's minute traits, and being a spy, Garrett would absolutely notice them because he's going to be perceptive. So those are other opportunities to add to this. Here we go. Yeah, and you were already on the list. So option number 1, ensure she's dead, completely unequivocally gone, no more poof. Now, when you say no more poof, I think Sam. But I don't think, no, I know I could not have that on my conscience. So again, I think this is Sam. So option number 2, now I've been thinking about this a lot. Time in coma land, brain still working. So hear me out before you go all crazy on me with no way in heck have you lost your mind rant, okay? That's all Sam. Listening goes along with genetic memory. It's a viable theory, but not as exact as you think it is. You sort of need to have the decoder ring to interpret it. Yep, that's Sam. I can tell you now that it's going to be Sam. We're going to keep reading it though. That is my theory on top of yours. If, and it's a crazy notion, I know, I can decode it and get her brain defragmented and functioning again. Sam stifles a chuckle. A challenging miracle I think I'm up to. Just think about it. She'd be a viable source of information on the trust, alive and well, but dead to them, and could help in avoiding me having her death on my conscience. You're right. That's crazy, he chuckles. I was trying to visualize all this. But she laughs at herself. So it's almost like I wonder what Amanda said in her head. Or she's just laughing at herself because she's funny. Okay, you're right. That's crazy, he chuckles. But is it? Do you have all the facts? Sam asks. I'm going to assume from the question that I do not. So here I am, like, I'm wondering, is Sam hinting that she's not alone upstairs? And Garrett's like, what's going on? I think I might have a clue. He might have a hint, a suspicion. And then, I don't know. Those are some thoughts. Right. But I have way more than you do. Wait, you don't. Even I don't, but I have way more than you do. I also have working to my advantage that crazy ability to take a still picture and weave an entire fact tree from it. I don't need the entire library to construct one. Am I making sense? Also, Sam. I've learned, Sam, when you're speaking in metaphors, similes and such, you do it to protect information. He holds up his finger to halt her interruption. In this, you're protecting not only yourself, her, and the knowledge she carries that she hasn't been able to or can't express, but all the innocence that could suffer if it is not handled properly. He gives a raise of his eyebrow. Points for the good summary. Only good? He questions with a chuckle. All right, so again, all of this makes sense to me because that is very much what Sam does. And you've shown that all along. Okay, we're going to keep going. Only good, he questions with a chuckle. Continuing on, she smiles at him. You're already studying her, so why not let me do it? I'm not connected to ICID. So far safer with me than whatever fruitcake you have now. You wouldn't have to worry about the nasty mole poking you all the time in the trust. No one is watching me nor cares what I'm up to except for when you're around. I'm going to pause here because when she says this right here, I kind of wondered if Amanda hadn't, I don't know that Sam knew about a mole. She might have because we only barely know Sam as well. But I kind of wonder if that wasn't Amanda giving Sam that information because Amanda's giving Sam information. And as she reveals information she couldn't possibly have, which is basically what Garrett is questioning, it'll become clearer and clearer to Garrett that something's not right. I'm still contemplating at what exact moment he puts that together. I've had some thoughts along the way, but I'm still not 100% sure. And at this point, see, like, if when I read this now, it kind of makes sense that I think it might be Amanda. But here's the thing, if I'm guessing which character it is and I'm wrong, then that, at least that tells, my rationalization tells you. Okay, we're going to keep going. I do think this is Sam talking because she mentioned fruitcake. And anytime Sam mentions fruit, we know it's Sam. But, and this I do think is Sam. I just feel like she's relaying information that Amanda gave her. So I'm even reading what Sam says and getting different information from it. Okay. Garrett rolls his eyes. You and your fruit references. You find it cute as well as accurate. You know I'm right, and I have insight that no one else does. Doesn't she ever? With Amanda in her head. So let's see. Yeah, and look at how well that has worked out for me. I surrender, okay? Can't beat them, can't get them to leave you alone. Play the game and play it to win. Completely Sam. I would have to. No, you don't have to clear it with the board. You barely answered them as it is. And look, you're even hiding out from them now, which I'm sure has Mommy and Daddy worried about where you are and what kind of trouble you're getting into, she teases. Sam, he warns, to tone down the mockery. I know they are a necessary evil, a long-winded topic of discussion for a later time because, wow, do I have new perspectives on that? So here are my demands. Or would you prefer I call them requests? So as I'm reading on, I'm getting more clear spots of where she's, well, does she have new perspectives on that? She's got Amanda in her head. So, yeah. So even what Sam says takes on new meaning when it is Sam saying it and not Amanda. This whole entire chapter, once that moment is made very clear to the reader, this whole thing is going to read differently and be taken in a different context. Okay. Either is fine, Sam, he encourages her with a warm smile. Okay, first, I will need access to the mighty, ginormous trust fund I helped you acquire for me. I know I said I would never touch it, tainted blood money and all, but circumstances change. Already done, and have Julian as your stand-in signatory given. Yeah, lack of movement and all, and no connection to you, yada yada. I heard all of that. I got a few tweaks to that base, but I just want to make the official request. Thank you, Garrett nods. Next, have her moved here. Let her be my roomie. I'll help Julian build a background for her that even I couldn't shoot holes in. Sam, he starts to caution on the risks. Not risky. I'll need her close, and no one other than you, me, and the walls around us will know who she was, okay? I have thought this out. I know who and what she is, Garrett, and even with that knowledge, I'm still willing to do this. She had every opportunity to eliminate me permanently up there. I was helpless. She didn't have to try to help me, but she did. And if she hadn't, I wouldn't be here now. For that alone, I owe her the same in return. I don't like it. You don't have to. You don't even have to admit she's alive other than to me. Look at that. Deniability. Pretend she's still out there. That's what the trust is most likely doing, and as far as they're concerned, what happened to us never took place. She didn't go MIA, and neither did the two with her. They are the ones covering up the evidence to protect their own shady butts. In this case, I say let them. The one at the base of the death of the other two would be her. If she's dead also, no vengeance, story of destruction needed. Sam, do you know who they are? Their names? Garrett follows up. This all reads as a conversation between Sam and Garrett with no hint of Amanda that I'm picking up. The pilot and the co-pilot, we don't. The other two, yes, I do. You know them both and have encountered them in your lifetime. If I can have your word that if I verify that piece of information, it ends there, you don't investigate further. Tough call, Sam. It's a double-edged sword. Yes, it is, a very sharp one. But on the bright side, we don't have the ability to unremember things. Garrett nods in understanding, but answers with, It's called forgetting. Tell me their names. I'll take my time with it and make my choice. I can at least take that off your worry list. Sam smiles. I was hoping you'd say that. Their names were Alistair Falson, her father, and Silas Hallister, her, I can't help it, POS husband. Garrett lets it sink in before responding. Wow, is all I've got. Yeah, and make sure that hamster doesn't kneel over on that wheel, she cautions, sensing his thoughts in overdrive. So do we have a deal? You seem to know more about this than you should, and it's more than she told you, he reasons, but also probes for confirmation. You could be right about that. For example, I know that she is the one who shot the pilot and the co pilot. I also know she was the one who brought the plane down on purpose. Do you get the gravity of that? Suicide in the name of not letting those bad people have it. She did the unthinkable to keep either one of them from succeeding. Another reason I hold some respect for her. She was also the one who removed the mechanism and that allowed the plane to hide its true location. Thus, the rescuers were able to find us. About that, Sam. Dispatch was way off. Dad and I had it all figured out the old-fashioned way. The old-fashioned but more reliable than GPS way. But I told you where to look. You got that it was code, right? Yeah, but even then, no sign of it. It's gone. One of two ways that happened. The trust beat you up there and contained their rings, because otherwise plague and pestilence would be laying siege up there. Side note, a touch of respect for the burden of responsibility certain ones who wear those rings carry. Sam. She breaks out of her intended path of thought. Which, when she does that, I kind of wonder how much conferring with Amanda she's doing as she's speaking. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, what? You're dropping breadcrumbs to topics I think you want to keep between, I'm just going to say it, the two of you. So at this point, it's made perfectly clear to me as a reader. I think this is the moment when I started thinking it. And I think this is the moment when I started thinking it. And so Garrett's just confirmed that he is now in the know. So if Garrett picked up on it sooner, I did not pick up on him picking up on it sooner. This is the moment when I'm 100% sure that Garrett is in the know. So hopefully that all that information helps. All my ramblings, hope my ramblings are kind of like Sam's ramblings, but anyway, I hope this helps. Okay, we're gonna keep going. Yeah, I know it's purposeful. Appreciate you recognizing it. It's one very small step in a lot of negotiations. That as far as I can go on that part right now. That's as far as I can go on that part right now. The second of the two ways it could go, I can't give a lot of details, but she has them and it feels good. A confidence that they are contained somehow, and in that scenario, my dad is alive. Still working that one out because I want to believe it, but it could be a trick to gain my trust again. I kind of wonder right there if she doesn't entirely trust Amanda. I'm kind of wondering, she's getting her information from Amanda, I'm assuming, and so she's kind of wanting to believe. I kind of feel like that's coming from Amanda. She wants to believe her, but it seems too good to be true. And so here's this person she's sharing a brain with. And I mean, I could be completely wrong about all of that, but that's just kind of a pondering. Anyway, I see, Garrett says. You have a deal, Sam, and I know her by many names, but I don't want to offend by addressing the wrong one. A deal there as well. Appreciated. We'll just say it's a really touchy subject. For you, Sam, that second option, I'll tip the scales toward her side there and suggest some trust and blind belief in it. I'd like that to be the outcome as well. Sam closes her eyes for a few moments. Her face scrunches into a confused look as she speaks. I don't know what exactly this might mean between you two, and my translation and interpretation probably sucks, but it's not as if she were running through the forest in an evening gown. I'd shrug if I could. Garrett erupts into laughter. Perfect with a Sam spin. The moniker was not my idea. He continues to chuckle. Either one of you going to fill me in? It feels like a good story, Sam says. I'll let her have that one, Sam. She'll probably tell it better, and it can be an icebreaker between the two of you. He stands up. It will take a few days for me to make the appropriate arrangements to get her moved here. I'd recommend you read Marcus in, at least minimally, just to put this old man's mind at ease, and I can step back to an appropriately safe distance for the two of you. Will do, thank you, from both of us. Garrett leans down and places a kiss on her forehead. I know I don't need to say it to either of you, but be careful. Okay, so it reads differently when you're in the know. And I think once you peg down getting the reader in the know at the moment you intended, hopefully some of my ramblings help you nail that down. And hopefully this second pass gives you a different perspective. I know I had one. And the chapter as a whole made a lot more sense to me once I was in the know, which is probably great news. In my opinion, that's great news. So I hope the two of these videos together help you, my author, and I'll see you guys next time on Mystery Read Reads.